It's all right. It has a nice screen though now that tells you like what's working and what's not. That's good. I enjoy it.
Well, it's been a long week. It's
So
been a long week,
yeah,
but the dishes are done.
yep. Just
I'm
finished them.
Jonathan. He's Michael.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Um,
Kelly did them tonight.
and I, yeah, Heather did too.
Yeah, I feel like a hypocrite because Thursdays have been more her night. So like technically they're done, but we didn't do them. But they are done.
I,
So
uh, I feel like um, I just am not recovering from, not like a rager weekend, but like not a very common weekend where like I drank Saturday night because we went out to dinner with friends, and then I had planned Sunday to go watch football with friends.
okay.
And I didn't go nuts, but I was watching football for 4 hours, a little more than 4 hours because there was a London game. So
Sort of
like
amazing though.
we went and played like drove golf balls at
Yeah.
this place where they have like TVs, so we were like watching the game at the same time.
Yeah.
And and so then, and then we go into a bar and watch the Eagles, and they crushed, so that was, and dude, I got home at like 5, and I kind of like shook it off before like going to bed that night at a
Yeah.
reasonable hour. But like, dude, not until like 6 o'clock this evening did I like finally shake off that whole weekend
Oh
of
yeah.
like poisoning myself. And I'm
Hangovers
like,
just
this,
last so
oh,
long.
oh, they're not hangovers. You can't call it a hangover, or you need to call it something new when you have kids
Yeah.
because it's so different. It's so unbearable. You can't, you
Undiagnosed
can't,
lethargic syndrome or something. Like it's liver death or something. It's something. It has to have a more extreme sound uh
like liver failure or like
like
organ failure.
adult adult voluntary poisoning is what it is.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
like we're
Right.
actually
Yeah. Like late onset stupidity or something.
attempted murder. Um,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Attempted self harm.
it's so funny because
Intentional.
sometimes like we went out to a wedding not too long ago and it was full bar and everything like that, and we were having old fashions because they actually had it as one of their drinks, and that was our drink at our wedding, so we were drinking that, but I was like fine the next day. So it must have just been probably, top, like higher shelf, mid shelf, not Bankers Club, whiskey, but
Yeah.
it was,
Oh well, yeah. And
something.
I made this. I made this stupid idea. I made this stupid decision to. We had like a glass of wine at my house. Like another couple came over with their kids, and like my mother-in-law watched all four of them, and then we all left. But like before that, we had a glass of wine. Then we got there and I had a martini. And then
Mm.
after the martini, I was like, well, I don't want another martini, so I'll have beer.
Do you still play out like all those high school things that we used to say, like in your head?
What, like
Like,
liquor and sicker,
like, yeah, yeah,
never
yeah,
been
yeah.
quicker?
Yeah, beer before liquor, never been sicker. Liquor before beer, you're in the clear.
Yeah.
Um, were those true? Like, is that a real thing, or was that just something in our heads? I mean, I know beer after Ice 101, you're gonna be sick, right? Like, I remember that. You shouldn't
I think it comes from this.
peppermint
If you
schnapps.
have, if you start the night off with a cocktail, but
Yeah,
then you do the rest of the night on beer,
yeah,
it's probably going to end better than if you
yeah,
start with beer and then end your night with hard alcohol.
yeah. You can't
You
escalate.
know?
You have to start high and then just you have
Yeah.
to hit like a glider. Like you're just coasting. There's no engine. You just gotta sip
Until you
for the
get to
rest.
the Yingling spits.
Ugh. I can't even drink Yingling anymore. I don't know.
I
It
hate
just
I
had too
hate
much
it,
of
dude.
it.
I drank too
See,
much.
same thing for Heineken. Like that one time at your apartment where I brought the Heineken, they used to have those keg cans. Great
I love
marketing,
that.
fantastic
Yeah.
marketing.
They have
What an
great
amazing
names.
idea to make a can that's the shape of a keg. So cool.
Yeah.
But terrible product. Just horrible Heineken. Like, oh,
Yeah. And I know. It's funny. I save certain beers for certain events. Like if it's a wedding, I drink Heineken. I don't know why. And then there's like if I'm at like a bar where I'm new, like I've never been there before,
yeah.
I try to find Amstel Light. I don't know.
I mean, Amstel Lights. It's there. It's good.
It's passable.
But I mean, you're more of a light beer. I'm more of like a you'd hate all the beers I drink. So, but I also don't like chasing them. I'm basically an IPA, actually a double IPA. I don't really like IPAs. I like double IPAs, which are like really strong beers, and then I like
Strong like
stouts,
alcohol
which
wise.
yeah, I mean they're
Oh yeah,
normally
I love
stronger.
stouts.
They're normally like around like 7 or 8 because I don't want to
Stouts are
have a
my
lot. I just
favorite.
want. But yeah, stouts are my other one. So that's just. But that's like dessert.
I
That's
remember like at that brewery that we went to that one time. Uh, they have every once in a while they'll have like 3 stouts, and they're all just. I have to watch myself because if you drink too many stouts, you will be you will be
what's the rhyme?
plugged internally. Yeah, there's no. I was like, is there? No, there's nothing.
I remember.
Nothing will come out.
I remember a guy coming to explain Guinness to us and how Guinness was actually better for you than milk in some ways because it had more calcium, and it was a low alcohol,
Yeah.
because Guinness is like 4 point something, right? So you could probably have like 4 of them and just start to feel it. So I
Hmm.
also like Guinness too. I don't mind a
I
Guinness
love
as long as
Guinness.
it's prepared properly. There's some places where it's iffy, but if you get it the right way, then it's good.
Oh, dude,
It
I
I
love a
like it.
Guinness.
I like it. I
You
like Guinness
pour in.
when I'm having like a real intense conversation with somebody
Yeah,
because
it's not like a party beer.
yeah, because you can like take breaks from it, and each sip is like more like refreshing water almost. Like
Ah,
it's like
yes.
an essence. It's not like like you're not thinking, oh, I better like I gotta slow down, like or I gotta because I always run into a
It
situation
does.
where I don't talk or I talk too like I don't talk, so I keep drinking whatever I'm drinking, and then that's
It's like
done.
a cigar. It like slows down your pace. You
Yeah,
know, it like
that's good.
forces you to be like, well, I'm not gonna. This will not be rushed. Therefore, I cannot be rushing.
You shan't rush me. I will arrive precisely on time, like Gandalf.
And I even went to bed early, uh, like put Hannah to sleep, and do the stuff for their lunch for the next morning, and then right
Yeah.
to bed. And it still was doing nothing. It wasn't helping. Getting like at the least 9 or 8 hours. I'm like, this is. First of all, I think I need to invest in Gas X because um, I'm like, how am I not floating? It's just constant. I'm like, no matter what it is, no matter what I eat,
Yeah.
it's just not going in the right way. It's like a glove with 6 fingers.
Huh.
There's just like air, and it's just not happening. And I like it was talking about. I was making fun of myself to one of my buddies who's like our age, and he's like, dude, it's not like the coolest thing to go to a store and buy, but Gas X, trust me, it works in like 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wait it out, and
I tested it
it's
all. I
still
tested. I
pockets
mean,
of balloons.
you can go look at the latest studies, but
Try to push.
in fifth grade, I did a science project on antacids.
Oh yeah,
Take it or leave it, but I found that Rolaids actually came out on top. One thing I don't like about the antacids, and
93.
yeah, 93. Like, but you had to keep it. It had to be in that little roll. Like they used to. I mean, antacids used to be right next to the gum. Like they were right
Oh
there. Like
right.
it used to be
Oh
so
my god,
easy.
that's true. Then what happened? Was the medical field like, wait a minute, we need to turn this into our thing. This can't be Tridents or
Yeah, it was
whoever makes gum.
because it wasn't hard. It's just calcium. It's not like
Right. It's like drinking
nobody
milk
was
with
ODing
flowers.
on it. Nobody wanted it because it just tastes like chalk. So it's not like
Right.
you were, it was right next to those candies that taste like chalk, like those what are those big wafers? I forget what those are. But one thing I don't like about nowadays is,
Oh,
like
yeah.
we have Tums,
Toasts.
and they come as these little gummy smoothie things, and I'm like, how much sugar and nonsense
Yeah.
am I eating on top of the calcium that I need to break up the gas? Like, right? How much how much other nonsense am I adding to my stomach that might just be causing its own problem? It's like a band-aid
Of
and a knife
course.
situation, right? Like, what,
Of
am I just
course.
hurting myself more by taking this?
It's walking more on your right leg because your left leg hurts,
Yeah,
but na in that process, you're fucking up your right leg.
yeah. I want to go back to the base, terrible tasting, chalky nonsense ones. I feel like those are where the actual product was. I don't.
It can't resemble candy.
I'm not a baby. I can eat
Right.
terrible things to feel better if
Yes.
I
In
have to.
fact, the
I can get
grosser it
through it.
is, I used to tell Hannah, I'm like, "If it doesn't taste good, that means it's really good medicine."
The medicine nowadays. I mean,
It's better.
the kids growing up. It's like every single one they get. It's like, would you like bubble gum or cherry? It's like, what is going? Like, where are these flavors coming from? It used to just be
It's like
like
sugar-free.
white or gray, like was liquid. You'd be like, oh. I mean, I remember
Yeah,
holding my sisters down to pour like, the what do you call
dude, I
it,
remember one
amoxicillin or whatever.
time taking a shot of that stuff and it not and I and just throwing up in my sink.
Yeah,
Like it went in and then splashed up. That's how much vomit. I was like, we need to figure out another way.
it's not working. Whenever you think of like a Pepto Bismol, I always picture the scene in Problem Child where what's his name, Ritter, who's the dad in
The great
Problem
John
Child?
Ritter.
John Ritter,
Yeah,
right?
John Ritter.
That's right. Yeah, and he's spending the whole next day just swigging uh, Pepto Bismol like in his car, and he's passing it to the kid, and he's taking swigs of it. And I was like, and it's so funny because I know I misinterpreted that as a kid. I was like, oh, that's like a fun thing to drink, like if you're not
Right,
feeling
they're
great.
sharing like a strawberry
And still
juice that you drink.
to this day, Kelly's like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you pouring that out?" I'm like, "No, you just swig right from the bottle." This is I don't
Oh my
understand.
god,
Like, this
that
is
is
how you're
such
supposed to
a
drink it.
funny topic. It's like, what do I still do that, like, I did as a kid and just no one ever corrected me? Like like like, I know for a couple times, the first time living with a woman, I peed with the door open
Hmm.
because I just never had to close the door to pee
Yeah,
in any
just a
home
pee
I
party,
ever
right?
lived in.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I
an
don't know.
open door pee policy.
An open door pee
But
policy.
I bet you there's a million, well, not a million, but I bet you there's funny things that we could think of
Oh yeah,
that it was like, "Oh, right, I just never corrected that."
yeah. Because
How
it's
was
like the
the,
first
dude,
time
how was
getting
the
caught.
renewing of the vows? I
Oh
didn't
yeah, it was good.
some people I've seen people renew vows before, and it's not a huge thing, but, like, you guys were at a church and you were in, like, a tux with or, like, at least a suit and Kelly in
Yeah,
a dress. You guys looked
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, it was
I
still low
didn't know it was gonna be
key.
that, level.
It wasn't. I mean, it was low key. We just worked it out with our church to have it there, and things just kind of lined up. It was the one Saturday where the kids didn't have a baseball game, and the church was available, and the guy that played the
Hmm.
organ was available,
One
and then
Saturday, they didn't have a baseball game.
yeah, and we just kind of worked it out. And Kelly, found a dress that she liked, and she looked amazing in it. And
Yeah.
I just threw on whatever suit I had and got ready 5 minutes before. Barely comb my hair, and and yeah, we
Yeah,
had like
sure, man.
we had like family
Threw
there,
on some
and
rap.
just threw on some pants, just throw on some jeans that were
I just
lying around.
showed up.
I just kind of showed up. Yeah, I was like, "Is that today?" Um, but yeah, it was really good. It was very if you watch the video, the rehearsal kind of just bust into the actual thing. That he was like, "All right, like we'll go through it 15 minutes before," and then we went through it, and then we just kind of walked to the back, and then walked back to the front. It was kind of weird. It was kind of so nonchalant, um, but I will say this, and Kelly felt the same way, and we kind of conferred afterwards. There was a moment, I think like a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I know some people don't think that the ceremony of getting married is important. And I know it comes with a ridiculous cost, so I completely understand that point of it. Like the party's for everybody else. The party is,
Oh,
super
right.
expensive.
I
Like
couldn't, I didn't know what you were talking about for a second. I was like,
yeah,
"Shit,
sorry,
I don't know what he's
I,
even
I shift.
saying."
No, I'm sorry, I
The
shifted over.
ceremony or the reception?
Well, just people are like, well, I'll just get married at the justice of the peace or something like that.
Oh,
Like
right. Oh,
we,
god. Yeah.
but the ceremony itself, like the day that we got married was, yeah, it was chaotic. There was a lot of stuff going on, and yes, a lot of it building up to that point was for other people, no doubt. Um, but for that brief moment where you're actually up in front of everybody and you're actually looking at each other's eyes and somehow repeating the words but not really paying attention to the words, just kind of laughing back and forth as you try to keep eye contact,
Mhm. Mhm.
that moment, that's the moment that makes the day worth it. I mean, like maybe you also want the dance at the reception, and the craziness, and that's great too. That's all good. But the moment of the day is staring into each other's eyes and saying these things. And so when we did this again, we got really surprised because we got that feeling
Oh,
again.
wow. Oh my god, I, like, just got that feeling just from like, I was there, from when it happened to me. No, but I never came at it from that angle. Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, wow. We are really getting back up here and saying, 'Yo, long haul, motherfucker.'"
It also means a lot, I mean, I don't think it's for
That's
everybody,
what I
right?
always
Like
think. What else would
you
you do?
don't have to do it, but I think it's like
Of course.
like Kelly had mentioned it, and then it just kind of started snowballing into reality. It wasn't that we had been planning it forever or anything like that.
It was a seed.
But
Seed of an idea.
it just kind of worked out. Yeah. So,
Oh, gosh.
but yeah, it was a lot of fun, and family came, and a few friends, and then we had like a nice reception, and we just made it like a potluck, and everybody brought stuff, and there was like tons of food left over. That's why I was getting those pretzels. I got those pretzels, man.
Ah.
I went to South Phil, not the
Oh.
not the Philadelphia factory or whatever, the actual bakery that only makes pretzels, and they have this like rickshaw contraption
I
of a
can't believe it
pretzel
still
baking machine.
exists.
It's insane. It's
I'm
like in a
so happy.
garage, and pretzels are just pouring out of this thing.
In a
And
box.
yeah, it's just like this machine that's like angry. It's like shaking, and you go in there, and it's like 1,000 degrees because you're actually right next to the oven.
No one's really running it. It just goes.
No, it's just like and like pretzels
They
are
put
just
dough
firing
in
out
and
of it.
run away.
Yeah, yeah, it just does everything somehow. Still, like they've never cleaned it since
Don't
1920.
go ahead, unplug me. Go ahead. See
Yeah,
if I stop. It's
and
like
no one's
it's
ever
just on a
unplugged it. Yeah,
mission.
it's just been on.
It
The
runs on
electric
Philly's
meters. It runs on
rage.
gasoline. Yeah. Um, and oh my
Pollution.
god, they were. It was the sun was rising on Washington Avenue, and the
Oh.
steam was just coming out of the bag. Like they were all just fresh
Oh, no
pretzels,
way.
and
Oh my god.
perfectly soft. And like you could see the steam in the sunrise. And it was just, I was like, what a
Oh,
awesome beginning to a day. I should probably
cross the
start
farm.
every day getting a bag of pretzels. Sunrise.
Right,
Um,
even if you don't eat them.
oh, I ate 3 on the way home. There was no way to resist them. It was impossible. And I was only supposed to get 30. And when I walked up to the guy, he's like, "How many do you want?" I was like, 36.
Ah,
Because in my some voice in my head was going to eat 6 on the way home. Yeah, it was awesome. It was perfect,
look
right?
at
Like
that
it's just
shot.
the
Great
sunrise
shot.
was right there. I didn't want to be a dork and take a picture. It's not really my thing, but it was just like a moment I had to share.
I
So good.
don't want to be a dork and take a picture. You have like a
I don't
million
like stopping
cameras.
and take. I don't like stopping and taking pictures.
Oh,
Like
right, in public.
I like being in moments, but
They've ruined it.
that one was too good. Like that was kind of like a, hey everybody, wake up, start your day, and I figured that would help other people by seeing delicious pretzels.
But I know what you mean, stopping and taking a picture. I'm like, I try to do it so, incognito if I must, because sometimes I just can't not.
Yeah,
Uh, but even when I'm doing it, I'm like, I'm not them. I'm not. I was the cool thing before they ruined it.
well, like I went out to a concert not too long ago, and it was terrible with the phones
Idiots.
up. Like at the concert, it was
Absolutely.
just a sea of phones. Like
No
we're
one's no
all gonna
one's
watch this
experiencing
later.
anything.
Yeah. Same thing with the fireworks. Everyone's just phones are all out. Everyone's taping the fireworks. Like just sit here and enjoy it. They're like you're never gonna look back at your firework video. Nobody cares about your firework video. Like just
Give your damn memory some more credit, you
yeah.
stiffs. God. Like, it's strange. Is this the beginning of us integrating with
Becoming
machines that will eventually replace us? Judgment Day is inevitable.
yeah, the Terminator had it wrong. He's not a lethal, deadly force. He's a little boob for everybody to suck on. Yeah.
Teat.
Yeah, he's a teat.
Teat.
The teat
Milk teat.
1000. Yes.
So did you so did you go did you like go and party afterwards?
After the vow renewal,
Yeah.
it was like 11 a.m. So we just kind of
Or like a
had a
lunch or something.
yeah, we just had a potluck lunch with everybody, and I made like a thing. I set up our Raspberry Pi so it would play like all the pictures from our wedding, and that worked really
Ah,
well. So
Raspberry Pi.
it booted up and started playing the slideshow, and worked perfect. I was very
It
happy.
is so it's so it, I think one of the most fascinating things, and it hasn't really been documented yet, is just the explosion of silly named things, that like don't indicate what they even are. You know
No,
what I mean? Like that was such a takeover.
yeah, I think
Widgets.
yeah. I wonder where it comes from. Yeah, widgets.
Widgets. It comes from nerds
It comes from nerds. Well, it comes,
taking
yeah.
taking terms from like other stuff.
I think some of them. Yeah, I think some of them were terms that were used by everybody. And then um,
Yeah.
and then nobody heard it, and it's just you. It's just everyone hearing the other terms that everyone else in another part of the country was using. Sassafras and sarsaparilla, those things. It comes out. But yeah, Raspberry Pi,
Sassafras.
sassafras.
So I've seen the Vince McMahon documentary
I
Joker
watched it
2
all. Yeah,
and The Apprentice. So
The
my
Apprentice, like the
yeah,
like
the
the
movie.
okay. I didn't know. What's that one? What's The Apprentice?
It's Trump. It's Trump from like late 70s to early 80s.
Oh, okay.
Sebastian Stan plays him. That's Bucky. And he does a
Oh,
really
okay.
good
Oh,
job
yeah. I think I saw
because it's
advertisement for that.
yeah, it's like over
I
2
wasn't sure if that
hours
was a
and like
spoof. I can't tell if it's like
he
I think my brain actually thought it was
no.
AI. Yeah.
I
Just
didn't know if it was AI, if it was a comedy, but
yeah.
no, it's like probably the most important tale of Trump's like it's his origin story. It's he hooks up with this lawyer in New York City, Roy Cohn, who had just dirt on anyone important and got them to
Hey,
like bend tax laws so Trump could, put his name on buildings with no payments. It's pretty amazing, and he does a really good job. The guy
Oh,
though who plays Roy Cohn is insane. You've seen him before, but like I can't say like, yo, he's from this.
yeah,
He just nails it. He's so good. He's this like really calculated, heartless lawyer who like in the beginning helps Trump. And then when Trump starts doing like all the crazy things by himself, like casinos and universities, the
yeah.
guy like is trying to stop him. He's like, yo, you're like doing too much. And Trump kind of kicks him to the curb.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it's like all about crazy men. McMahon, Joker, Trump.
Yeah, yeah. The McMahon one was. I was trying to get like in the head of the documentary people, because it's like I don't know. I feel like they didn't want to bury the lead, but they kind of wanted to bury the lead. The very
Yeah,
first
because it wasn't
episode.
like it didn't like start out, with that news out.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah. It's like they changed. It's like they changed the first episode to be like, hey, make sure you watch the eighth episode. Like
yeah,
we'll get to it. Like we've got it, and everything was kind of backwards. But I didn't find any part of it surprising. Like normally when you
no,
watch a documentary, you're like, oh, like this thing's gonna be surprising. It's like if you just ever heard anything about him, growing up, it's like, yeah, it's like, and then it turns out that he hired these women and was promising that they would do stuff for this one wrestler. It's like, yeah, I I figured
yeah,
that was going on. Like I don't understand. Like it was such a
dude, it's
weird
so
business.
yes, it's dude, it's Carney.
Yeah.
Carnies became billionaires.
Right.
One Carney became a billionaire, and then a
Yeah.
whole bunch of millionaire Carnies underneath him. That's all it is. It's Carney shit. Liars. The
Yeah.
whole profession is liars. Like
Yeah.
every interview Hulk Hogan does, he's lying most of the time. Like
Yeah.
almost every number they ever say is a lie. It's an
Yeah.
exaggerated, number. So, but then like I just thought that the way they did this documentary, it was a guy who doesn't know anything about wrestling and a guy who knows a lot.
Yeah.
And they kind of like took turns with Vince so that the one guy would have like no idea what to ask next as far as like what happened next in the history of wrestling. And
Right.
then the one guy would, you know what I mean?
I see.
If it
So
was
keep
like
it
more
keep
personal.
keep it moving. Yeah.
And like everything Vince says, the video or photo they are showing
Yeah.
is exact contrast. Like
Yeah.
it's almost masterful how they do it, and I didn't catch it the first time.
It was like
Like
it
I've
was
watched
like
some episodes twice.
I don't think I don't think they did much in the beginning because they kind of set like everything they said was just sort of fact, and then
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
were kind of
just
just
unfinished.
recapping things, and then somewhere around the third or fourth episode, I started seeing what you were talking about there, where they started showing. He's like, yeah, we never had guns, and they're like, like it's like
Dude,
the
it's
very
even
next thing.
that
I don't
was the
even,
most obvious one.
yeah, but I didn't even understand why he would say that. Like that's the other thing. Like, what's the problem if they did? Like, the whole
I
concept was that
know.
he was trying to keep everything on the edge, and it to me, it's almost like Vince was saying it so that that's exactly what they would do. Like for me, they were doing the opposite, and I
Oh,
feel like they were playing into what Vince was actually like. I think Vince was playing 4D chess with them and being like, "We didn't have guns, we didn't have this stuff," and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna show,
yeah,
we got them. We're gonna show the guns." He's like,
yeah.
in the back of his head, he's like, "They're gonna show the guns. It's gonna be awesome. Everyone's gonna tune
I
into WWE next week." like he's.
I don't know
I
if
feel like it.
Vince is that clever anymore. Because like apparently, like I stopped watching wrestling in
Well, it's either he's not
2005.
he's not that clever anymore, or he forgot because he's old and forgetful.
Yeah. Dude, there's like there's not like outtakes, but there's like clips that like you can easily miss where like Paul Heyman is like telling him is like translating for him off camera like what the guy is asking and kind of like telling Vince what to say.
Okay.
He's like, no, 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 in the storyline, Vince. Like he's like wrestling angle, like telling him, don't talk about real life.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I mean, he's had 1,000 concussions and he's like in his mid 70s. So
That was the
he's just, there's
concussion
no
part was
way.
interesting. I didn't expect him to. I don't know if that was like a. It sounded legitimate, like when he started listening to the guy about concussions and stuff, like ahead of the
Yeah. Nowitzki,
NFL, and yeah, that seemed pretty interesting.
but
Um,
Stone Cold.
what about him?
That was pretty disappointing when he's like, I don't believe in it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, God. All right.
Well, he
Oh,
just ended. Like he was like, I'm out. I mean, he was.
he was, dude, he was like, he probably shouldn't have been wrestling before he even became like huge
Yeah.
because Owen Hart spiked his head and almost broke his neck.
Yeah.
And so he was like wrestling on extreme borrowed time when he was like,
He always had so
making
many
them
injuries too.
millions.
Yeah. I mean, he was so.
Always. He
You
didn't
know.
take care of himself.
Yeah. He had like 2 knee braces on that he needed. It's at all times. Um. Yeah. So I get it why he would just go. He probably could have stuck around. He probably could have been like an announcer or something that would have been like hilarious. Like he could have had an ancillary type role on the shows or something.
Like dude, like the majority of his last like 2 years, he wasn't wrestling, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Yeah,
People just wanted him there. They just
they
wanted the
just wanted him to
glass,
chug
him
beer,
to
yeah.
run out,
Right.
and talk shit. Like it was so annoying when they didn't like figure that out. I'm like, these guys don't need to wrestle. Like they're right now their best bad guy never wrestles. He doesn't need
Yeah,
to.
right.
He
They've
will
just
at like pay-per-views.
well, it's just moving on to it's just plays. Like it's just let's just have
It's just
plays. Like
TV.
let's just cut the wrestling out. Like they could just cut the wrestling out and it could just be like an hour of drama,
Yeah, an
just
hour
happening in the ring.
backstage.
It really just comes down to like South Park really did break it down perfectly, where like everyone's ding,
Dude,
ding, like
it was like
intermission like ends and they all
CWO and
sit down.
HVW. Like
It's funny.
CWO and HVW, the worst part were the matches, but we could like make them funny, but it was
Yeah.
like that
It was
was the
just to
part
get
that we
through
just
it.
winged. It was the
Yeah.
least important part of the whole
It was
thing.
so and it was like the
But
same
yeah,
two same two moves that we had. Like it was there
I know.
wasn't
I
too
was
much
thinking about
variation
that the other
there.
day. I'm like, did I keep moves specific to different characters? Like other than their finishers? Like,
I
how like
absolutely
Undertaker
did not.
does like the thing where he walks on the road. No, I know. I'm like, I think with Father Gerlach, I would do this, the chop, because that was like a
Yeah.
copy of the Undertaker.
Yeah. And I finally, I mean, when Bagel Master had the neck brace, it was like, oh, like when I saw Vince, I was like, oh, that's where Bagel Master. I never knew, like the whole neck brace thing.
Every,
It's so
everything is everything, but the I think disappearing. I don't think WWF ever had a guy disappear like we had the Gelati
funny.
man or
Oh yeah,
Calypso man.
yeah. Just,
His alter ego didn't really last. Fans didn't really like it.
nah, didn't the focus groups fought against us? Nobody wanted to see that. It got a little out of control. But yeah, no, I appreciate you telling me to watch it. It was definitely worth the watch. I feel like there needs to be like a season 2 or something when they cover like what's going to happen to him now. I also feel like, and this is going to sound horrible, but he just seems so old. Should there be an age where if you got away with all the bad stuff that you did, like, and you reached like 85, like it's like
Yeah, I get that.
like have a statute of limitations on like what anybody can do to you. Like at that, like they're like,
Yeah, it's like, wow,
like we almost
are we
got you.
really going to enjoy this? Are we going to enjoy just burying this old man in a jail cell and for him to rot?
Yeah, it's like
Maybe.
just fine him, just
Yeah, right. Like take all his money,
take all
put him
his
like in Chicago in like a row home
right.
with
Just
enough to get by.
yes, you have to move to Detroit now, and that's where you'll stay.
I mean,
Sorry,
he sold his
and get
share,
a
his
house next to
stock or
Cosby.
whatever.
Yeah,
His share of the stock was worth like God, like 4.8 billion or something.
wow.
So obviously he's going to be spending those on lawyers.
Yeah,
But yeah, I get it though. It's like, well, he's so old though. An
I mean,
80-year-old in jail just seems like a waste of space.
it seems like you should figure it out whether he's guilty or not. But it's also like from Vince's perspective, it's like, would you rather give that all to lawyers, or would you just? I would just hatch some sort of crazy escape plan and just hide in some other country somewhere.
Oh,
I
dude, it's
mean,
so
he's already
weird.
altered his face so much he could just do a bit more and then change it all over to something else, like a villain, like a crazy.
Dude, he like had like silver gray hair that was growing back from the Trump match when they shaved his head.
Yeah.
It grew back slowly, and then he retired, and then he said, "Never mind, I'm not going to retire." Like not that much longer later, and he showed up on TV, and his hair was black, and he had like
Oh yeah, I saw that
not
that
like
thin
a
mustache.
Hitler
Like
mustache, but yeah, like
no,
a
it was and it was
like
like obviously shaved down. Like it was like growing in around the mustache, like
yes,
not
yeah,
black hair. It was very.
so freaking weird.
It was like a
And he was like,
Dolly, yeah, or
I
like that.
got bad business advice." Stephanie McMahon hated working with him because in the last like I said, I stopped watching in 2005, and the ratings just kept going down, 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 and they were like Vince is just doing the same things over and over.
Right, right.
He was cognitively declining. I mean, dude, watch the Attitude Era. He bangs his head around like a fucking maniac. There's just no
Yeah,
way he doesn't have
yeah,
giant bruises all over his brain.
yeah. It then
Reckless.
Well, then also, like, what do you do with any behavior after that period? Like maybe not making excuses for him, but maybe like, I don't understand how
Yeah, I
after the
know.
fact people will explain things away. It's like, oh, that person had a concussion, so they had the I forget what the disease is. It's like late something disease. Um, you know, after getting your brain battered around, and then you become this like evil psychopath or something like that, right? And it's a weird situation when they're when they I forget what was the wrestler's name who like killed his family and stuff.
Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit, yeah. So in that situation, they're like, "Oh, we're sad to hear about Chris Benoit," and then in the documentary, they almost made it seem like up they shouldn't have said that because we all know now like that like this terrible thing happened, and then they kind of twist it a third time with the concussion talk, and then they're saying it's like, oh well, maybe this was the reason why, right? And that was kind of like in that Will Smith movie too, where the one doctor talks about that kind of stuff, and like ex wrestlers, ex football players and stuff, like they just hear voices or go crazy, and it's like who's to say that
Mm.
Vince isn't also going down that path and whichever way he's going to go down. So
Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's like people like forget, I guess, that like he wrestled so much
yeah,
and like took steel chairs to the head a million times.
and like
It's like, oh
steroids and everything
yeah,
else that
oh
could
right, I
so many
know,
different
man.
chemicals.
And then one night he tried to dive into the ring at the Royal Rumble and he blew out both of his quads trying to stand up, and then had to have back surgery and was never the same. Like all
Ugh.
of a sudden, Father Time made him tap out and was like, "You're gonna age, pal."
Yeah,
Because he looked like he
he
was
was like
crazy
Bilbo
for so
Baggins giving
long.
up the ring. Yeah. All of a sudden, he's
Yeah,
just aging
right.
incredibly fast.
Oh.
I'd like
I
to
have
see my
three. I have
ring one more time.
three computers. Three computers in my brain at the same time.
What are you, my 6-year-old daughter? Or maybe my 4-year-old daughter? Like, when he was saying that, I was like, oh, this is the whole thing. Like, this guy's just so out there.
Yeah,
So out there. Carney.
he had a
Carney
good
with
he had a
$1 billion.
good grift though. Yeah, it was funny that he got mad that people
Dude.
were stealing his guys. I didn't recognize
Eric
what's his
Bischoff
name. I didn't recognize Eric Bischoff for half the show.
looks,
I was watching
he
it,
was
and
such a handsome guy when he was younger.
I just it's not that he wasn't like like he was fine,
No,
but
but back in the day,
I
dude,
just
Bischoff
couldn't
was
tell
like a
his face.
weatherman.
Yeah, he did look like a what? He looked like like
Like a
a
Ken doll.
like a villain on Full House or something.
Yeah,
Like
right,
somebody
right.
who was
With his
trying to
black
steal
hair.
Jesse's trying to steal Jesse's wife away or something like that. Um, but yeah, or maybe he reminds me of the bad boyfriend from Saved by the Bell in the drug episode. He reminds me a lot of that guy. Hey, Kelly, just say no to dope. I forget all
Just
the
say
lines.
nope to dope.
Yeah, just say nope to dope.
Stupid.
Stupid. What do they say? They like turn to the camera. They're like, dumb.
Oh yeah, idiotic, like moronic.
Man, we learned so much from that show.
But yeah, he didn't like. It's so funny because Vince just like took the guys that were already famous. Like
Yeah,
like he didn't like make stars. He just got guys that were already stars.
yeah.
That's
I
the
think that's
crazy.
true.
That was new to me. I didn't know that.
Would that be true? I guess the only difference there was Cena. At least that's the way the
Yeah.
documentary made it. That Cena was the only one that worked.
Steph, Steph was the one that saw Cena rapping and was like, "You want to do that on TV?"
Right.
And that's what made him. He would come
Yeah.
out and at the height of 8 Mile.
Yeah.
That was in 2003. It was like popular to freestyle.
Yeah. It didn't have to be amazing. It just had to be
Just had to rhyme.
It just
kinda
had
be
to
funny.
just had to rhyme and be funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good timing. All right, let me see. I want to fix this thing. It's driving me nuts.
It's
Here
funny,
you-
man. Like John Cena has had like
There you go. Now it's working.
just that break with Steph, and then James Gunn, doing peace, casting him as Peacemaker. They just kind of like, it's like coaches that make the perfect batting lineup. They're like, well, this
Yeah.
guy's going to be really good in the 6-hole because he'll make contact and we'll probably, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they know how to get the best out of each person, even if it's like a tiny bit from each person in
And
tiny moments.
Gunn did Guardians of the Galaxy, right? That
Yeah.
was his. Yeah. I was rewatching a lot of the Marvel movies recently, and I think I've decided that Guardians of the Galaxy is by far the best movie of the whole MCU.
Yeah,
Just-
it's like Seinfeld. They're
Well-
like so funny with each other.
It's not just that, it's that it had its own tone, and each of the
Oh yeah.
sequels then rhymed with that tone. They
Mhm.
had the same beats, some of the same lines. They had the same amount of homages that like went through all three of them. But they never left the characters. Like all of the characters had the right amount of development. And I love Endgame and Infinity War, but those were kind of like the grand finale. Like if you didn't have all the other information, those didn't really pay off as much. And Iron Man obviously started it. There would be nothing without the Iron Man movie,
Right.
because that was the first that actually got everybody's attention and
Yeah.
held things
Like, oh,
together.
they made a good one.
But if you look at like Captain America and Thor, those were cookie cutter. Like they could have been in the 90s. Like
Heather loves the first Cap
oh,
because it's so like Reese Witherspoon movie.
Yeah, it's like it's like just a very basic. I like the
Romance.
scenes of it. I also like how they show Cap. I like how he's like a scrawny guy who jumps on the grenade and stuff. But the movie itself doesn't flow. Like it just
I
has
know.
its scenes and it moves on. But Guardians, there's always a reason why they're moving on to the next scene.
I know.
It's not just that things are
man.
happening. It's like, if they did something in the very, like you almost have to pay attention the whole time, because if something happened in the very first scene, it all of a sudden affects all the way to the end. Right.
I know. And you're like, oh, they're from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. And he was, dude, if he didn't get fired by Disney, he was supposed to kind of like help that tone with like everything that happens in outer space movies in Marvel, and be like Feige's number 2. And then a tweet from the mid 90s got Disney scared and they fired him.
Well, and
then they hired him back.
The one thing I noticed too that he did really well in that movie was he controlled the power levels really well. So
I know, man. You knew like all their different abilities.
Well, you'd see like one of them get hit by somebody and go flying into a wall or something like that. Or you'd see, Gamora attacking Groot and he's just kind of putting up his arm and she's chopping away at him. He's not really, trying to fight back with her and stuff like that.
Right.
And Rocket's kind of worthless until somebody gets a gun in his hand or gets electronics near him or something like that, So
right.
It really kind of, and then when they had Drax go up against I can't think of the main guy's name, the crawl guy, and he just like knocks him through a building. And
Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan the Accuser kind of dismantles him too. So it's just kind of fun to see the power dynamic. So then you get a good idea of where they're all at. Like they're not like Gamora isn't going to just jump and fly over a building, right? But she can like make a pretty good leap to like maybe a second story, right?
Yes.
And Drax is somehow kind of invulnerable, but also like he's like dense, but he's not. He can't just punch through anything, Like he and I think they limited some of that because from what I understand in the comics, like Drax is like way more powerful in the comics than he is in the movies, which you need to do because otherwise you're just going to have 8 Supermen on the he eats an Infinity Stone.
Yeah, and they don't poop. That's why that joke where he's like, I have incredibly huge turds. It's like a double joke because he doesn't shit.
Because he doesn't have anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, dude, I agree. And that's, again, why I'm excited for him to be making all the superhero movies from the other side of the street. And it's like, so far so good, just from like the stuff that pops up online that I try to avoid. Even though Superman's costume, I'm like, there has to be like a major upgrade midway through the movie because it looks so not fitting.
No, it looks
like it's someone else's suit that he put on.
Yeah, and that picture they released is like the weirdest. It just doesn't feel like they understand Superman at all. Like the city's getting blown up, and he's putting his boots on. It's like, what?
Like, I'll get it.
Like, yeah, it's like it's not the dog. Like the dog doesn't have to. It's not like Crypto having to go for a walk. It's.
I do like Crypto being in it because of James Gunn. Like if they were like, Crypto's going to be in it, I'm like, oh, that's the tone, and then I'm like, well, wait, that doesn't mean anything because I can barely watch the third Guardians one again because there's just too many gut punches with those animals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, he's going to make you really care about Crypto. Like I just can feel it.
Yeah. I mean, Crypto could be cool.
It'll be good.
I remember in the animated series, they had Crypto poop, and I thought that was pretty impressive. Like Superman slips in it. And he's like, whoa. It was like the third episode where he's actually under, like he's got the star thing like on his chest, and it's for the man who has everything episode where what's that guy's name? I wish I could remember the guy who runs War World comes and like throws it on Superman, and they can't remove it from him, but he gives him a dream state that's like whatever he wished for, and so it's like him and Lois like living on Krypton, like with his parents, and they have a son. Van is his son's name, and
Van?
yeah, Van, and they Van L, and they have and Crypto's there, but like at one point he walks in the kitchen and he like slips and he's like, Van, come clean up after your dog. And Lois is like, I'll get it. And he's like, no, Van will clean it up. And he like takes out some futuristic poop cleaner. And I'm like, oh my God. I just remember thinking like, wish I had that thing. That would be awesome. Just like a little like poop vacuum cleaner. It's like done. Move on.
I like the one cartoon. I think it's just from like Superman, the animated series, or maybe like the Justice League, where it's like here's how Superman shaves.
Oh,
and he uses his lasers and it bounces off the mirror and shaves the
hair. But doesn't
off
fry the mirror at all. Yeah. Yeah. But that's how lasers work, so it kind of makes sense.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he does grow like a major beard in the one he goes to like that he goes far into the future, and he has I really like that one because it's like without his powers because the sun's gone or something. So he's just like a person, and he, makes a sword, and he uses like pieces of his cape for, bandaging himself, and he's got like a full beard and stuff. It was a really cool, like, Superman could survive
like
without his powers. No, it was like distant future. It was like the world sort of ended, and it was Vandal Savage. He like ruined the world somehow.
Vandal Savage.
Oh, he got Toymaker
to like unbeatable, isn't he?
Yeah, or something. He got Toymaker to send him into the future or something. So he went like a million years into the future. Yeah. It was a great, I mean, all those episodes were so good, like so well thought out. And it was just a cool, what would Superman do if he didn't have any powers? Like, would he be smart enough to survive? Would he be able to adjust? Is
that a comic or a show?
It was in Justice League. It was in Justice League Unlimited. I don't remember which episode, but
it's an arc.
Yeah, it was just. I think it was back when they did the 2-parters. So I think he got lost in the first one, and then they were like, and then everyone thinks he's dead. But it was a good one. But he looked badass with like a big beard and a sword that he had created.
See, I would see that and be like, no, that isn't Superman. What are they doing?
Well, it was like I said, it was kind of explaining a bit more about him that you can't do while he has his power. Like he's invulnerable. So like, how are you going to trust that he's actually brave?
Oh God. See, he has the coolest powers, but it's also about like the human.
Yeah.
And how,
Well, in the comics, he's supposed to be, super intelligent and stuff like that. Like his intelligence is supposed to be up there with, Batman and stuff. But to portray him as super intelligent and invulnerable, it's kind of like there's just too much. Like there's no flaws. You have to figure out
They have to make him feel like a little like a foreigner.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like get everything. Who
what
doesn't have like street smarts.
Where are you at with the Penguin? Like, did you finish the Penguin?
Oh yeah, I'm all caught up.
Yeah,
I think there's one more episode.
I'm still not feeling like anything has happened yet.
Yeah,
like I know things are happening. I know like there's movement, but it's only moving.
Thought he was supposed to be mayor.
You
gotta run tomorrow.
Right. It's gotta
start your campaign tomorrow. Unless, like in the beginning of the next episode, the last two people die, and then he's like, all right, there's no one left. I'm the mayor. Like the mayor also dies.
Yeah.
Like if he kills everyone in one big explosion. But God, that'll feel so freaking rushed and just like a setup for the second Batman, the Batman.
Yeah. That's what it kind of feels like. It feels like one of those in between comics that like where you have like a game or two movies and the comic moves them together, but all it does is kind of just nudge things just a little bit one way, or they bring in normally what would happen is they would bring in some third, villain or character or something like that. And that character would do most of the pushing and pulling of this character and then just be dead by the time the next movie starts. So it's like, oh, that's what happened in between. But this like
Right.
Falcone,
General Grievous.
yeah, General Grievous. So yeah,
Just
I mean,
in between.
or even like some of the Sith that were in, the Clone Wars TV show and stuff like that, where it was like there all of a
Oh
sudden there was
yeah,
just like
the
a
Clone Wars TV show is an entire in between.
right.
I mean, unless you count Ahsoka because
but there's like
she gets shut
apprentices
down.
and Sith apprentices that
Yeah.
like you never hear of again because they die by the end of it, right? So it's like, oh, that's over. We'll never talk about this one. But yeah,
Right, until
but,
Filoni started jamming them all into
and then
regular canon.
yeah, then he brought them all back. But yeah, I don't know.
because-
I don't know with the with the Penguin. I just don't feel like enough moved around. It was
It was pretty crazy and how they showed them burning. I didn't see that coming. I was
yeah.
like, whoa, they're showing it. Jeez, Mom, get away.
No, the visuals in the show are great, but I just feel like the chess pieces are only moving like it's not really chess, it's more like checkers. Like it just doesn't feel
It's more like an empty board.
yeah.
I'm like, is it just her and Kelvin Inman, or because like I thought someone stabbed him right in the gut and he survived that. Okay. Is there only 6 episodes? Because if there's only one episode left, then we were hornswoggled.
Even so, I don't know what else they're gonna like. They'd have to start something new because there's not enough going on. I feel like I thought the premise was going to be more that he had to work for her and do other things, kind of like a Better Call Saul type situation where he's restricted in what he can actually do because he has to keep up this facade, But then right when I started thinking that, the very next episode he's like conning it the other way, and by the next episode it's all out in the open again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, when he flip-flopped on her so early, I was like,
Yeah.
Jesus, you idiot.
can you just give it a
What
break?
is going on? They really kind of like just didn't go, wait, hold on, we can't do that yet.
Yeah, because it was such a
Don't
smart
do that
ending
scene yet.
to the other episode, like when he's being tortured and stuff, and then the car pulls up. It's like, oh wow, that was
Yeah.
really intelligent to just
Right.
blow right through that, like an episode and a half later.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know.
what was that all that for then? Like, are you a master planner, or is everything just random and you just got a good deal that episode?
Like, what is Penguin's like, stats? Like, what are his like? Is he like a politician? Is he like a schemer? Or is he just a what would they say are his like qualities,
In this
characteristics,
universe? I mean,
in overall?
I think they're playing it as, like a very good businessman, tricky, like a pulse on the underground type situation. Like in most times I've read or seen the Penguin in video games and stuff.
Bumped into him.
He's always been kind of like he wanted to be left alone, right? For one, and he always wanted to kind of keep his business going. So and then he would keep things disassociated from him. So a bad deal could go down or some black market thing could happen, but he would kind of keep it away from his legitimate business because he never wanted to lose his like the Iceberg Lounge or anything like that.
Ah.
So to me, that always kind of seemed like his dichotomy. Like, so he might get caught up
Yeah.
with, doing something wrong in front of Batman, but he always wanted to just kind of get away so that Batman couldn't then pin it on him. And he would just be like back at his
Ah.
business and be like, oh, what are you going to do? Come in here in front of all these people. Like, I think he kind of protected himself by surrounding himself with so many people, so if Batman wanted to get him, he had to go like into a nightclub, which he wasn't going to do,
Oh.
so except for,
Right.
in
It
the
was like
Batman,
layers.
he did, right? But
He just walks right in.
he walked in because he,
Gets shot.
yeah, just because he felt like
Catches.
nobody shoots him in the jaw though. Everything's shoot
What if he
around.
shoot? What if he shot you in the face?
That was a risk we were willing to take.
In the face. That was a risk we were willing to take.
Harry, you're alive.
Dun, dun, dun,
You're a
dun,
horrible
dun,
shot.
dun, 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 dun. Funny movie. Whatever happened to those two?
I don't know. Where are we at?
Jim Carrey made like the most depressing speech I've ever heard. He's like, soon no one will know you were even here. Like,
I mean, he's been making those depressing. Like
shut
he
up.
went into his episode of comedians getting coffee
not
was
you.
by far the oddest episode. I don't know if you watched it, but
Oh yeah, the paintings.
he like
Pretty cool.
he acts like really odd in it. Like he acts like he has to be on, but then he spends like the second half talking about how he like doesn't want to be on. And it was just very weird. like he put
man.
like eye drops or some like sugar additive from like he's like standing up on the table to like drop it in his coffee. And Jerry's like what is happening? It's just really like he's on his I think he's just on his own journey.
It's I mean, such
he's got a lot of time
life.
to think. Yeah. So
like. Yeah, like, I feel like finding inspiration or something that makes him be like, yeah, I'm going to do this and it's going to be amazing. It just gets like harder and harder.
Yeah.
To even like look for it and to find it.
But I mean,
and I think he really fucked with his own head, really diving into these characters that he would do.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Sure.
And I think he would kind of, and you know how that can be. It's exhausting just imitating someone for 1 minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that can be tiring.
While you're shooting a movie.
A whole bunch of times for like 20 years.
And I also get more and more I get the feeling that he saw some stuff in Hollywood. Like now all this stuff, like now it's like popular to have this stuff come out with like Diddy and all this other stuff. Like I bet he saw some stuff and then tried to like warn everybody about some stuff. And we look back and we're like, oh man, he's acting crazy. But give it another 20 years and we'll be like, oh, he was trying to tell us. He was trying to
It's like 50 Cent, dude. Yeah. Everyone is saying like 50 Cent's been telling us for the last 20 years that P. Diddy's a weirdo.
Yeah.
And
we're like,
everything.
No.
And we're like, yeah, you're just making fun of him. That's just rap, they're just talking smack.
Right.
No.
Yeah. That's going to be the new thing where we're like, oh, okay.
Curtis Jackson. So you are just telling the truth.
Yeah. All right, let's do a spin. Imbalanced in household roles. Did I put that? Oh yeah, here we go. All right. Imbalanced. Where am I at? Oh, here we go. Struggling with perceived imbalance in household roles. My wife and I are both in our early 40s, married for 12 years with 2 children, the eldest being almost 10. I'm the man in the relationship, and unlike many posts I read here, I feel like I do a fair share of the housework. Oh, this is the man posting. Okay. That's kind of new. I don't think we've had that before. We split the cooking, and although we have someone come in weekly to clean, we handle the rest ourselves. My wife takes care of a bit more of the laundry and the girls' clothes, but I handle a lot of the technical stuff like repairs, managing the car, the financial planning, etc. Basically, I take care of the household logistics, budgeting, utilities, and planning for our family's future. She has no clue about the time and mental energy all this takes from me. Where I'm struggling is that my wife has become more vocal about feminism and all the down with the patriarchy thing in recent years. She mentions a lot about how women are burdened in the home and how men need to do more. This feels unfair to me, especially since I already feel like I'm pulling my weight compared to others. On top of all this, there's the financial aspect. I have a good job and earn enough to support us, but my wife hasn't worked regularly for a while. We agreed that she'd stay home when we had our first daughter, which was a mutual decision. In the past few years, she wanted to go back to work, and I've supported her fully as I think it's important she feels financially independent and useful. But the issue is that she's been trying different things, taking courses, buying equipment, switching careers every couple of years. Nothing seems to stick. So I'm left with the weight of being the sole provider. She is now starting a new project with a partner, which I want to support because I think it's a great idea. But again, it's another investment which comes from my salary. And at the same time, means that she will not have any stable income for the foreseeable future. I can almost predict that a few months down the line, I need to start monthly transfers to her bank account as I did in the past. I've considered taking a strong stance of not giving more money to this ventures because on one side, I feel like she's just riding on privilege and not really taking full responsibility for what happens. Every time I try to bring this up, she reacts with something like, "Oh, just because it's money, your just because it's money, your work is not more valuable than mine," which I understand, but at the same time, not. I mean, I even said a couple of times that I wouldn't mind switching roles. I would be happy as a stay-at-home dad taking care of chores if I never had to worry about money again. I love my wife and I want to support her, but I'm starting to feel overwhelmed by this imbalance, by our different perspectives on the matter. Any advice or insights from this who've dealt with similar situations? I hope my story is not too confusing. We'll be happy to provide more info or clarifications if necessary.
If necessary.
If necessary. Ooh, I got red. All that reading. It's getting warm in here. Might pop the window open. My earpiece.
Yeah, I mean, like I wish we had more detail about these ventures. These ventures that he.
Well, who cares what the ventures are? I mean, it could just be something that she wants to do. Like, let's say she wanted to start a podcast, and then she,
Okay, well, yeah, that's one thing.
she wanted to start a sticker company, and then so they went out and bought like a cricket thing, and now she's going to be starting a lice treatment center, which I think is still the most lucrative business you can possibly go to.
Lice treatment. Yeah, it's the new COVID pop-up.
It's so easy. I would just
I guess it doesn't matter. But it's like, dude, you're doing a bad job. Like, have them prove ROI, but have them like prove that this is like an immediate return. Like, don't just be like, oh yeah, sure, sounds cool. Here's money.
Oh, right,
Start it up.
Right. Yeah. Well, treat it like a loan.
Like,
if they're going to be successful and they're going to treat it serious, it's like, all right. So, I mean, it's tough because
caveat emptor.
Your money should kind of be together, I would think, like as a married couple. But I don't think you should tap into all of your mutual money that's like your family's money to start a business. Right? Like if you're really going to be successful, it's going to be a bit more of a hit, but you should probably go take a loan out then. If you're so sure of it, go take a loan, and the loan could hurt us. And maybe that'll be a bit more inspirational than just the money, because like if you put the money aside and then you use it and the money's gone, it was kind of like a wager that you knew. But if you go take a loan out, like you could take a major hit, and the fastest thing you want to do is pay that loan back, um, from a business perspective, right? So
Yeah, I
maybe
mean, dude,
maybe
when you get married, it's all of your money. Like, don't be a weirdo. Like, it's my salary.
yeah.
Like, it's your kids' money. Like, shut up. Um, and yeah, like that's great advice. Like, tell her to your next venture is to figure out how to take out a loan instead of taking our money, borrow someone else's. And then maybe she'll be like, "Oh,
I also don't
empowerment,
really understand, yeah, the
girl
empowerment part.
power."
It's like empowerment, but give me money. Um,
It's like, yeah, it's like,
kind
well,
of
that's how what
opposite
he
of
says. It's like, all right, empower you. Here, I'm empowering you. Get the fuck
I'm
out.
empowering you. Do it yourself.
Yeah,
Now you
here's
are
some power.
empowered. That's what it means to be empowered. Not have things done for you. Yeah, I mean, yeah. To me, it seems like you should have paid more attention to her first few ventures. You shouldn't have just wait until the third one and be like, "Hey guys, this is getting a little out of control."
I know.
You
I
should
know. I
be
know.
like, "What happened?"
Actually, Dad, I want to do karate.
Yeah,
No, I want to do bow and arrow.
yeah,
Like it's an adult. Like, don't just. I mean, I'm just
yeah.
curious as to what the ventures are because it's just interesting. Like, what do you invest? Like, what the hell are you? What
Goat
capital
yoga.
are you providing them?
Yeah, yeah. She's like, "I want to
Yeah,
do
right.
goat yoga," and you're like, "All right, well now we have 8 full-grown goats at the house, right?" Like, it's the baby goat. The baby goats grew up,
they eat.
and
They eat clothes.
this isn't working out for us anymore. We need to come up with a new plan. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
like what are
mean,
you investing in, and how
now
much?
from the other side of it, I can, being on the job hunt right now, it's like it you kind of do start thinking of possibly anything you can possibly do, and it is hard to kind of hone in on things. So
Ugh.
as far as like the trainings and things like that, that's always knowledge that she's going to hold on to, and maybe she's learning from some of these failed businesses, right? Like, because by failing you're going to learn a lot more than by accidentally succeeding. So maybe
Yeah,
you got
that's
to
true.
maybe go back and review everything that's happened so far and make sure that that's the case. Like, make sure that it's like, hey, you didn't just give up on that. You actually learned something, and you have reasons why it didn't work, right? Like, it's not just that you got bored and you didn't want to do it anymore. He's kind of saying it like she got bored and she just gave up on it. But I'd want to maybe verify that that's the case.
True. Right. I agree. It's like, wow.
Okay.
Or maybe she hit a complete brick wall and was like, oh, well, wait, this is impossible.
Yeah, she's like, wait, I'm not an astrophysicist. I shouldn't have opened up a planetarium. It was a bad investment. I know nothing.
Neil deGrasse.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like, oh, look, there's Orion and there's the Big Dipper. And that's all I know.
That's all he mentioned in his
I
Joe
think
Rogan interview.
there's a Cleopatra up there somewhere. Yeah. So, perceived. The title's kind of off kilter here because the second half of it wasn't really about household roles. You're saying that you wouldn't mind being a stay-at-home dad, and not worry about money. Yeah, I mean, I would hope that everybody would want that if they don't have to worry about money. So
I know.
doesn't really say much. Um,
I know. I can't stand when people say obvious things like that. I'll be a stay-at-home dad. You go get a job that replaces my salary. Like, okay. Yeah, like the sky's blue on sunny days.
Yeah. So what else? Then he also said in the beginning, like that he was handling the finances and the technical things about the household, and she was doing some of the laundry and stuff like that. That all sounds fine. She might want to do the laundry, and you might not want to do the laundry, but maybe check on that too. Yeah. like like I said, in the one book that I read that was like the 80-80 marriage, it talked about, it's like, hey, if you like the laundry done a certain way, then you should be the one doing the laundry. Don't ask your partner to.
Dude, it's so funny because like Heather would like be planning things, and like it was back when I made more than her, so she'd be like, "Can you transfer me money so I can do da da da?" And I'm like, "Do you just want my bank account and you can just control the money? I mean, you're the Jew, so doesn't this make sense?" It's just like, whatever
That
you want
like,
control over, take it.
this is my whole plan. Like, just I don't know why you
Yeah, I
haven't
don't
asked
want
for
to do
the
the math.
login yet. Just take it.
Yeah,
Just take all
been
of it
waiting.
and make it more. Make it grow.
Yes.
Make more of
Yeah,
it.
do what you guys do. Do that thing you do with your space lasers.
Space lasers. Oh man. So yeah, just feel like we always end on this, but it's like, go talk to your wife. But I don't think you're
I
in that
know.
weird of a predicament. I would put the kibosh on the patriarchy thing when she's in a marriage with you. Like, it's kind of degrading to a husband to
Yeah, it's
hear
like,
that.
well, wait a second. I mean, we could
What am
just
I
kill
doing?
you. Like, slow down. We could just murder you all, except for a couple. Like,
Yeah,
it could be caveman times if we just got angry enough.
they were saying with like the birth rate that it might go back into caveman times. Like, there's not enough replacement people. It's gonna drop off. Well, I mean, like,
Well,
think
with
about
all
like
the
our family.
eliminating jobs and technology, yet
I mean,
again, we're just Judgment Day. It's inevitable.
think about our
We're making room.
like our families are, like, we're just replacing ourselves. Like,
Yeah,
we have 2
replicas.
kids, so we're all no, not like that. I mean, like we're only replacing ourselves with 2 people, right? Like, until you have like 3 kids, you're not making more kids than you
Oh yeah,
you both were.
we're neutral.
Right. Like, so you're just
We're
can't you're just
breaking even.
you're breaking even. Right, exactly. And so what's happening is a lot of people are either breaking even or only having 1 kid. And so that
One
doesn't leave
rat.
enough people for the next round.
One horrible kid.
What?
Well, you know what? There's already too many of us.
That's not true.
Have you seen traffic? Far too many of us.
Well, traffic, I still think, like, we need to kind of
A good thing.
remove humans from cars. I don't think humans should be driving cars. I don't think that's
Yeah,
like,
what is the next thing?
leave a track, but I don't. Every time I'm in a traffic jam, I just wonder. I'm like, if my car could just talk with the car in front of it, we could all at least be moving 3 miles an hour, right? The problem is I have to keep guessing what the person in front of me is guessing about the person in front of him who's guessing, like, about how fast we're going to go. And then somebody
Guess who?
in the line somewhere is like, well, I waited in this jam for 25 minutes. Obviously, it's time to go 80 as soon as the car in front of me moves, right? And I definitely will
Mm-mm.
not be slamming the gas, slamming the
Mm.
brake in a moment, and then it just all happens all over again. So I think, I think we need to move more towards like the Minority Report style of cars, where everything's kind of communicating with each other and they all just kind of slide. Like, if an accident happens, they all just kind of like slide around each other and then just keep
A hive mind.
moving. Yeah, right.
This one comedian does this joke about how when aliens, or if aliens already got here, they were like, they all have individual thought. They do not use hive mind. Oh, let's get out of here. Like, how do they? Oh, they're just going to kill each other. Like, how are they even still here?
What are they
They're all
doing?
just 2 individuals. Too
It's
many.
true. It's true. Well, you know what I think helps? Predators. Because I think, if we had threats, like if
Mm.
there was a lion, like I still think to this
Oh my
day, if there was a
God.
lion walking around, nobody would worry about their individual, they would team up to get the lion out of the neighborhood, right? Like if there was a lion on the street,
Oh my God. Right. We have
you know
no
what I mean?
common enemy, so we just
No
make it
common
each
enemy.
other.
Right. And that's why, like, the big thing with social media is to separate everybody, to put everybody into categories so that we don't come together, right? If you go around and get in such a good relationship with each of your neighbors that, like, you hug them, right? You know their families, you know everything about them inside and out, then nobody's going to fight. Nobody's going to have a bad
Did,
time, and everybody's going to be able to
did
talk.
you, I think, I don't know what he was doing. Oh, I think it was that show Shrinking on Apple with Harrison Ford. And
Mm.
he was like promoting it on something. And they were like, what's up with you? Like you're in all these movies now. Like you're having like like you're in your 80s and you're like in Marvel and you're doing Shrinking. And he's like essential human contact. Like Harrison Ford, the biggest like grump, in Hollywood, is like, I'm just finally coming to the realization that like I just need to be around people, and that means I just have to go to work
Yeah.
because that's where people are that I know.
He hit the
And it's
pinnacle of
like,
grumpiness, and then he was like, "Oh, this isn't the way."
yes, dude, he had like an epiphany of life. Like, dude,
Yeah.
he's the Red Hulk. Who would have ever thought that he like dreaded talking about Star Wars? Like he
Yeah.
didn't. And then something happened to him where he's like, this is unbelievable that like I still can like connect to these, whatever. I just think it's a good life lesson to hear from a legend.
It's
Get
it's
off your
it
damn.
it's like a real life Grinch. It's like a live action Grinch.
Yes, yes. I can't wait to see him as Red
Grinch.
Hulk. Lose the mustache or lose the election.
What a pamphlet. Get out of here. All right.
Same one.
Try it again. Yeah, we'll read it again.
That was a long one.
It was a long. There's actually a. I didn't read this one. This one seems dangerous. My son has become more angry lately, and I blame it on my husband. He's moody, impatient, gets angry, and annoyed easily, and yells a lot at our kids. My son has been lashing out more, has outbursts, and is much more defiant. In the last few months, my husband has been more aggressive to our son and in general. He's picked him up and taken him to his room and literally thrown him on the ground. He calls him names. He cursed at him. He's cursed at him. And yesterday he slapped him in the face while I was at the store. I came home to my son in the shower and he
Oh,
immediately told me his dad slapped him in the face and back. His cheek was red, but he seemed okay at the time. I'm shocked and angry and so hurt for him. I've had many talks with my husband about his behavior. I've fought with him. I've expressed his aggressive behavior is I've expressed that his aggressive behavior is the result of him being aggressive towards him. Oh,
him
to
being
me,
him being dad.
the dad, yeah, the dad,
Pronouns, pal.
yes, the him, he, him, and
Him,
he
huh?
denies it all.
They.
The son, he said his bad behavior is because I don't discipline him, and oh my God, Jesus. He said his bad behavior is because I don't discipline him and my way isn't working. My son is strong willed, but he's never been this angry and aggressive. I'm
Or
afraid
this
to
old.
leave him and he'll abuse him when he has custody. Jesus Christ. I know
Jeez.
this is a serious comment, but it's like none of this is passing second grade English. I feel like I have to protect him. Your husband? I don't know what to do, but I'm working on a plan.
You're working on a plan. That
I'm
means you
working on
don't
it.
know what to do.
How
Working on a
I don't know
plan.
how old the son is.
The first sentence: my son has become angry lately, and I blame it on my husband. Did she mention his age? No, it doesn't look like it.
I'll see. I'll see if I can find it. Let me see.
Like, first of all, dude. Oh, he's 5. That's in the title. Duh. Husband slapped our 5-year-old.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
That's yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you can't be hitting your kid in the face.
Well, it's also secondhand.
The hell you doing?
It's secondhand because
Hearsay.
It's hearsay because he said yesterday he slapped him in the face while I was at the store, so she wasn't home. I'm not saying that makes it different, but I'm just saying she wasn't there. You know.
Right, so, but we'll just pretend it happened.
Well, I was like playing her reality.
I know.
I defend all the villains and all these things.
Yes, but I mean, you can defend like it not being the dad's fault because the son was just going to be aggressive anyway. Like the mom's like, I blame it on my husband.
Yeah,
but then it's like, is he like throws him on the ground, calls him names, curses at him? Oh, geez, that's pretty horrible. Throws your kid on the ground.
Yeah, that seems worse to me than the smack. Because
Yeah,
I don't understand what the smack is or how it happened. Calling him names and cursing at him, like I don't know exactly what that means. Like what sort of names? Like sometimes, I don't know.
I came home to my son in the shower, and he immediately told me his dad slapped him in the face and back. So he slapped him in the face, he spun around, and then he slapped him in the back. His 5-year-old is in the shower, and this just happened. Like, I don't know.
He's taking a midday shower.
It does seem like, however, I do know someone who got divorced because of that. Not because of like, I don't think physical, but I think verbal. Just too much and not relenting. And I
mean,
wow,
like I'm by no means like I'm just trying to make it for conversation. I'm by no means endorse any sort of thing like that, especially if it's coming from a place of anger, right? Like I don't think anything, and I try to work on this too because sometimes I'm angry, and it's like I don't think anything should really come from a place of anger, and I have ways of kind of checking myself when I'm in that situation. I'm like, am I really upset at the kids right now, or am I upset because something happened earlier in the day, or just the state of the room or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
Or am I trying to get back to finish something I started and the kids are interrupting or something like that? Like, is it really the kids' fault? Like they just came into my day. So I try to kind of separate those ideas, and normally I just I have to get away and like think about it for a moment, and then when I come back, it's like, all right, or if they're in a bad mood and going crazy, adding to it in a negative way like that is not going to help. But I also kind of understand part of what the dad is saying, where it's like sometimes when they're misbehaving, you kind of have to bring the hammer of Thor down upon them. Like you can't really let them get away with stuff. Like as our kids got older, it's they're the excuse of it's like, oh well, they're just kids. It's like, okay, but like it's like 7.5 now. Like at what point are they going to stop being kids? Or
yes,
like I start seeing their manipulation, and I'm like, no, I think
they're nope.
Yeah, they're racing to
like
ice
they know
cream.
what they're doing,
right? And if it's just me with them, they act differently, and that's I think the part that sometimes Kelly doesn't see. And then when we're back together and they're acting like this weird way, I'm like, no, I know what the true value of what you're trying to pull off is. So I don't know, but
right. But it's like at least they do now have the knowledge of the experience of like what the real fine line is that they need to walk.
Yeah.
I feel, it's like even though they're going to push against it, it's like, but they're still seeing it. So then
Yeah.
eventually it'll be in there for later.
Yeah.
It sticks.
But I mean, like I've definitely seen dads, like at various events that we're at, and the way they kind of push their kids around, I'm like, there's something else going on here, right? Like, if this is what's happening in front of me, then there's something else happening elsewhere, And then
Yes.
I watch them like a hawk because I don't want to be wrong, right? Because I also see kind of like loving expression in some things that they do, but like some dads, like when they come into the room, I'm like just burning a hole in their skull because I'm just waiting for them to make like the wrong move so I can just jump on them and crack their heads open. Yes, just the super
We
uppercut.
don't do that here. Pick on someone your own size.
Yeah,
One of those lines.
yeah. It's just like you need to. So I think some dads, like it might have been the way, like the lady said, it might have been the way they were raised. It could be that they don't know how to express themselves with words, or like if he's cursing and stuff like that, probably doesn't have a very large vocabulary if he's only able to use curse words to express himself. And then, you know, he might be thinking that he's doing the proper thing of maybe correcting the kid with hitting. And, I'm not sure if that's right. I know that sounds bad, but like some people grow up and they're like, oh yeah, like I got smacked upside the head if I did something wrong, and it just taught me not to do that anymore, and I'm fine now. Like I don't know, I don't know if those things are right or wrong. I also don't think like foo feeling parenting is really the right way to go either. Like oh, you just
Yeah,
punched
there's
me
like
in
a
the
good
face.
mix.
Man. What? How did that make you feel? Like that's not gonna be great either.
Yeah, like the other night, Charlie was like freaking out and wanted like a ninth popsicle. Not a ninth, but like she wanted the one that was just. She had already had too many, and
Yeah.
she was screaming. And I'm holding the freezer door because she's trying to open it. She's like, "Daddy, open it, Daddy, let me in." And I go, "You are not going to win this, so
Yeah.
give up now. Save your energy." And she just ran away. I'm like, it's not like, tell me why you're so upset. I'm like, the sugar is clouding your brain.
Right.
You lose. Get out of here.
It's so funny when the
Fuck off.
sugar when the sugar's clouding their brain and like they're like a possessed being.
Dude,
And you're
like a
like,
drug
I
addict.
can't wait to talk to you later about all of this. I hope you're
And that
able to remember it.
when she's recovered and she's sniffling, and I go, Charlie, remember how I told you this is too much sugar to eat and you ate it anyway? That's why you were crying. Don't say that, Daddy. Then I cry. Like, I love you. That's one day you'll understand. When you're 18 and I have to bail you out of jail, not tell
Yeah.
mom.
Oh man.
Every
So
time.
yeah, don't hit your 5-year-old. Figure out a better
Don't
way.
hate your 5-year-old. Like Jim Morrison said, abusing a child is a shortcut to thinking. Like you have no time for this
Right.
kid. And you're just
Yeah,
going, poof,
you're not
that'll
making
fix it.
yeah.
Not using your brain.
And also like the kid, is like they're hitting 5, they're going to be a bit more aggressive. Like
I know. I was
especially
thinking
as
that too.
as a boy, like going from 5 to 6 like the aggression just goes through the roof. Like they just
The diaper's off and the dick is out.
that's not what I'm saying.
No. No. But yeah, they're like, oh, I see what I'm gonna become.
Well, they
They're
just
like they're coming online.
it's also just like yeah, it's like this animal instinct. Like I don't know if like the testosterone's like kicking in at that point or something, but it's just like they just want to wrestle. Like they just want to push each other around and they can't help it, you know. Like they're just running into each other at 100 miles an hour, and they're like, "Oh, well, that felt weird. Let's do it again." Like they just keep going, and like everything's a competition. Like everything's pushing and shoving. Um, so yeah, like I didn't like the line where she said, like he has bad behavior and he's never done that before. This one, like my son is strong-willed, but he's never been this angry and aggressive. Yeah, because it's a different day.
I
It's
know.
like
He's
the
never been
next
this old.
day, right? So I don't know if he's being aggressive. I would think he would be more cowering if your husband was like just
Right.
smacking him around and like
Right. He
like
wouldn't
he's not gonna
bow up
he's not gonna do that until he's like 15 or
tall enough.
18, until he gets tall enough, and then he's like, "Yeah, Dad, like try to hit me now," which we're all I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for Leo to just knock me out, and it'll be over something stupid. I'm sure it'll be like, "No, you can't
You
have
should
a fifth
teach
hot
him
dog, son."
teach
Wham!
him how to punch so that when it comes, you know to just catch it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be like, thumbs in. Yeah,
Who taught you everything you know, Daniel son?
yeah.
Leo son.
Just be blocking everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect. It's like, I always left you a blind spot. I don't know if we're gonna get through all these today.
I know.
We don't have to. We could save
We
some.
can save it. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
we could save it.
evergreen,
Put it in the freezer.
ever
No,
blue
don't say
as
that.
it was in the
Stop.
beginning.
Oh, this is a long one. That's Sister Linda Jean, dude.
That's what I thought.
Don't
Husband
ever-
Stanky. Speaking
don't
of
ever-
Sister Linda Jean.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect segue. You knew.
Oh no.
This one's long, so hold on. Just bear with me.
Do you want me to read? Like, do you want to tag team?
There's 4 screens for this one, so sure.
All right. I'll do the first 2.
Okay.
I really need an advice about my marriage. Well,
Just
I'm
one.
28. He's I'm 28. He's 34. Okay. Together 4 years, right?
This is
1
math
year's
problem.
online dating. 1 year's online dating.
4
1 year
plus
of
1
marriage.
plus 1.
1 year's. When is 1 plural?
Wait. Are the 1 years within the 4 years? They've been together for 4 years. 1 year was online dating. 1 year was marriage. What were the other 2?
What the hell?
It's a
I think maybe she means 1 year of like dating, not online dating. I don't know.
Either way, they've been together for 4 years.
This is very long, but please help me. Hold on. This is very long, but please help me.
Please.
I can't.
Help
My
me.
husband
Obi-Wan
is a
Kenobi.
great man. He's smart, faithful. He makes me laugh. He took care of me when I was hospitalized.
Oh.
He consoled me when my family passed away. He stands up for me against his family. And when my family passed away,
Your whole family?
the writing. When family members, he stand up for me against his family, and he was even a good provider, but everything went downhill after we both lost our jobs. Damn. I had a remote job. He had his own business. We were earning a lot of money, so we were planning to buy a house, travel, have kids, etc. But due to COVID, I was laid off, and he had to close his business, so we ended up living out of savings. We ended up moving to our brother-in-law's house.
Nice.
He doesn't live there, but since we had no money, he allowed us to live there paying minimum rent. It was okay in the beginning, but now mother-in-law is basically a pain in the ass.
Uh-oh.
It's important to note I'm currently unable to get a job. I migrated to this country and my degree is being legalized. I tried looking for a job, but everything requires at least primary school and my documents are not legal or recognized in this country yet. So he is now the only breadwinner, yet I take care of everything in the house. We agreed we'll focus on working while I'll study, or he'll focus on working while I'll study and get in college to avoid wasting time while my documents are legalized. I also told him we'd stop trying to get children until we are financially stable, and he agreed. to get children.
But it sounds like English is a second language, so
Right.
I'm gonna let
Right.
it slide a bit more.
Immigration. The pandemic ended, and he was finally able to get a job, but it was a minimum wage job, and I get it. It was a pretty shitty job, so he got tired of it. His contract ended, and he decided to take a few days off to rest, which I agreed. That turned into a month, and this is when things got worse. I
Uh-oh.
believe my husband got depressed, and he stopped taking care of himself. He's not working yet. He's not helping with any house chores. Meanwhile, I still take care of the house and study to get into college in this country. My husband now, the internet. My husband now plays video games the whole night and sleeps during the whole day.
Awesome.
Jeez.
Sounds great.
He doesn't shower even for days. He doesn't brush his teeth or change his clothes. He
Oh
refuses to eat
man.
healthy. He leaves the food I cook. And at night, he basically eating only junk food and he's getting fat. His
Yes.
studio is a mess. Unrefrigerated snacks on the desks, including milk.
Ugh.
Filth on the floor. Dirty laundry here and there. Untrimmed black nails. Black nails.
Black.
Etc.
What is he, a dog?
Black nails? Is he a frostbite? Messy hair, etc. He's so smelly, he's literally making the bed sheets stank.
Oh. I was
Dude.
trying to be patient. I was trying to be patient, and I told him subtly that he needed to take care of himself and go to therapy, but he ignored me several times. My husband loves debating, especially about controversial stuff. So today he asked me about what would be the minimum requirements to date for men, women, because he saw a Twitter thread. One of the things he mentioned was being clean for men and taking care of themselves for women. So I chuckled and blurted out, "Why is the bar so low for men, basically showering, but women have to be clean and good looking, putting makeup, going to the gym, etc." And he said, "Because men are more visual." And I admit at this point I got snappy. So I replied, "Most men are not that clean, including you. So why is bar higher for women?" And it seems almost mandatory. And we started arguing. And that's when I realized his hygiene has always been really bad. Oh, man, what a twist.
Oh,
I wasn't ready
no.
for this. It's always been bad.
Oh,
He openly
no.
said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So he doesn't mind eating expired food.
Oh.
Said he doesn't believe in washing his hands unless they are visually dirty, not after using the toilet or coming home from work or doing groceries. That can be messy and still organized. Example, leaving clothes in the kitchen, floor, sofa because he will wear them again, or leaving food out because he knows if it's okay to eat it or that it's fine to scratch his private parts and not wash his hands. Well,
Oh, yes, it is. Get out of here. It's
that's
the
perfectly
cleanest part of the body.
Now you're really pushing it. I was shocked I was getting multiple UTIs, and now I realize it was all. Now you realize why? Okay, and now I realize it was all his fault because he never washes his hands, and I never questioned his hygiene because I thought it was common knowledge. You have wash your hands, refrigerate food, wash dishes and clothes, etc. But what? Thank you for the plug, by the way. What really drove me mad is the fact that he refused to do any of these things because he doesn't believe in that, and said it's for clean freaks and not everyone do it. I said he had to do it for me because, for example, I was getting pimples when he touched my face or getting UTIs, and he literally replied, "Well, if you are already getting pimples regardless I wash my hands, why would I do it? It won't make a difference." I broke. I started yelling and I told him to shut up. He got mad and stopped talking. And I told him he needed to change his habits before having kids because there's no way I'll raise my kids like that. And he said simply, well, I will continue doing what I believe, but I'll tell the kids they have to listen to you. And I said, kids learn by seeing their parents do the right stuff, not only by listening. I was heartbroken. I thought he was going to be a perfect dad, but he still behaves like a child.
Oh no.
I want to clarify. I'm nowhere near perfect. I was very immature when our relationship started, and I still get hot-headed very easily. And yet he was very patient with me, so I feel like I owe him patience. But it's very hard for me right now when it seems many things are happening. We argued last night, and we haven't talked to each other.
Multiple UTIs. I mean, how dirty are his hands?
Like a chain. Why are you letting him
You know,
touch you? Why don't you just
it's a
why don't you
good
stop letting him touch?
if it's a good thing that you figured this out before kids. So let's look at the bright side.
That's a bright side, yeah.
You know, I mean, for someone to say, dude, that was like, oh my God.
That's a weird belief system. Like being clean is a made up thing.
When someone
Raccoons
says
wash
I don't, when someone says like, yeah, I know monkeys. Like when someone says like I don't believe in something, I just am like, what do you mean? Like that's like Santa Claus to me. Like you believe in it when you think it's real.
Yeah.
If
But
you don't think cleaning is real, it is real. Like it's a real thing. You don't believe in doing it because you're lazy.
I mean, part of it is just like our bodies are made to be repelled by certain smells, you know? So if we have shit all over our hands, our body is made to tell us that we have shit all over our hands and we shouldn't like that state. Like there's nothing that's like it doesn't smell like, chocolate pudding or delicious warm baked bread. You know, we're not like, oh, what is this amazing aroma? Like
Like blood is red, so we see it.
let me think
Oh,
about
shit.
how much I can get behind here. The not changing the clothes very often and staying in the chair and playing the video games. I get that's like kind of a cliche, but it could happen. The not washing your hands after the bathroom. I'll even give them the expired food because I don't believe expiration dates in most cases. But I mean, if you smell milk, like even if milk hasn't hit the expiration date, you gotta sniff test it every time you take it out because you don't know. You don't know what that cow was up to. So
July 3rd.
I still remember in college, like the one kid we lived with, we had expired milk in the fridge for I don't know 2 weeks for some reason. Like we just
Oh no.
because expired milk is kind of like a weird thing where it's like it's encapsulated and it's in a cold storage unit, and it only really becomes a problem when you take it out and you have to dump it out. Like you have to get the expired milk away, right? So if you in our college minds we were like, well, if we take it out and we open it up, it's going to stink in here and then it's going to be gross to pour out. Like we've gone too far in the wrong direction. And but I remember when one roommate came in, he was like eating a bowl of cereal. We were like, where did you get the milk from? And he was like, oh, the fridge. I was like, that milk, and so it was finally time to open it. So we were like, come over to the sink, and we like opened it up and started pouring it out, and it was just like chunks were just falling out of it. He was like, it's like It's so bad. So like, I mean,
What's the expiration date on that milk?
yeah.
The third. The third. Throws up on Susan.
It's like, so I mean, at some point, like, it's not a matter of believing in it. Milk is going to go sour. You can't be
Right.
like, I'm a tough guy.
Tasted
Like,
it.
I just push through. It's like, no, you
Oh,
don't. You don't. If you're
oh,
eating
dude. Bad
expired
milk.
Doritos, you're not going to be impacted. It's not like,
Right.
it's just going to be Doritos. Like,
It's just going to be a little not as crunchy.
it's just a little not as crunchy. That's about it. Like, so if he's talking about like expired preserved food, then it's like, yeah, sure.
Fine.
Fine. Some of those are Best Buy dates. We just bought a whole case of, there's like Belvita biscuit things because this bargain store that just opened up by us, like they have all these things that are about to expire. So you just like walk around the store and you're like, well, that expires next week. We have to eat all this. And, but it's like we got a huge box of these Belvita things for $1. I was like, well, I can't pass that up.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know. This is a weird one. It sounds like he's depressed. I mean, to me.
Oh, big time. I mean, but I mean, the thing is, they don't have kids, so he's got like, he's like, well, it's just me and her.
Yeah.
I'll get around to it. I like the guy that gets the job, works it, and then just like doesn't work anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
what the how are you even doing that? Like, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
So pardon me. That's gross.
Yeah. And it's funny that the title is like My Husband's Hygiene is the Last Straw. It's like, what were the other things? Just sounds like you've just dealt with his hygiene to the point where it's over.
Right.
I don't know. You shouldn't be getting UTIs. You should just maybe cut them off. Cut them off from all touchies, and then see how long you last. When the sheets start smelling, that's gross. It's just, I don't know.
Hold on. I mean, well, I just can't hear you right now.
You're an idiot.
Stupid headphones.
You're so
It's like they're
dumb.
connected, but
Yeah. You smell worse than the guy that we just read about. I can say whatever insult I want.
And this is the most entertaining part of the show, everybody.
We can end it there, though. We could just end it there. We could end it there. Let's just end it.
Sorry about that. All right. Yeah, it's 11:30.
Yeah.
Like I said, just got back to normal tonight.
Back to normal.
What do you do at the show? Do you kind of like putz around? Or do you just like go right to bed?
I feel like I need to decompress a little bit after the show, but
yeah.
Normally everybody in the house. Normally it's more like a dangerous time for me because if Kelly's already asleep, then I have to go in and it's just Murphy's Law. Like I'll get all the way to the bed and then I'll hit something that turns all the lights on in the room and like starts a band playing, like it's just, one of the speakers in the room will be like, oh, did you want
Viva La Bam episode?
Did you want to? Yeah, and then and then if she wakes up, then it's like this
whole thing where
it's like she slept and then she woke up, so then she can't sleep again. So
oh no, it's the worst.
So it's a very dangerous time. So sometimes I wait. Sometimes I might like go down all the way downstairs and then just like wait for REM sleep to kick in, and then I've got a bit more buffer.
Maybe hear like a low snore.
The other thing is like, you know, the sound that the kids make when they get to the door, you know, to like wake you up for something. I make the same
Mhm.
sound when I walk in. So it's like when I'm coming in, like she hears the weight on the floor by the door,
Uh,
and then I slowly
uh,
open the door, and then she's like, "Oh, I thought you were one of the kids." It's like I don't know how to not
uh,
be one of the kids in this situation. They're the ones who are always opening our door.
you
So
should like do like something like a jingle, like doo 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 doo, and and then she'll always know it's you.
yeah,
Like,
it's the waking up thing that's the problem. What about you? What do you do?
yeah, same thing. I try to like just see if there's anything that maybe I can like watch for like 15, 20 minutes
Mhm.
and then go to bed.
Yeah,
But yeah, Heather's got like Grey's Anatomy blasting on the TV, and dude, I could go in there and turn all the lights on and bang cymbals, and she would like it would take a while to wake her up.
that's
She's
nice.
such a deep sleeper; it's
Yeah,
wild. And if she wakes up and like talks to you, she will not remember any of it.
really,
So just think of the weird things that I've said in those moments. Then I'm like, well, she's like, just for my own entertainment.
that's
All right,
awesome.
man.
All right,
Great
we.
show. The boyhood dream has come true.
eh.
We'll see you next week. We gotta go.